On the 11th of March, 2011, Japan experienced one of the most terrifying days in modern history. A strange silence took over the ocean, and just minutes later, a massive black wall of water began swallowing entire cities in front of live cameras. The entire world watched in shock as the disaster that killed more than 20,000 people unfolded and changed the planet forever. It all began at 2:46 p.m., deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, near the northeastern coast of Japan. There, hidden under miles of water, an enormous tension had been building for centuries between tectonic plates. And then, it happened. A colossal magnitude 9 earthquake violently ruptured the ocean floor. It was so powerful that Earth's axis shifted slightly. The planet itself literally changed position because of that event. The ground across Japan began shaking violently. Buildings swayed like paper. Roads cracked open. Power poles collapsed. People screamed, unable to understand what was happening. But the worst was still coming. Beneath the ocean, the earthquake pushed an unimaginable amount of water upward. And that movement created something terrifying. A gigantic tsunami traveling at incredible speed. Out in the open ocean, the wave barely seemed dangerous. Ships hardly noticed it passing beneath them. But as it approached the coastline, the water began to rise, and rise, and rise even more. Sirens echoed throughout Japan. Evacuate immediately. Thousands ran desperately toward higher ground. Others stood frozen, watching the ocean strangely pull back from the shore. Cars jammed narrow streets. Families tried calling each other one last time. And then it appeared. A black wall of water, mud, cars, debris, and fire moving forward without stopping. It wasn't just a wave. It looked like the end of the world. In many regions, the tsunami exceeded 10 meters in height. In some areas, it reached more than 40 meters. Enough water to swallow entire buildings whole. The footage recorded that day looks like scenes from a movie, but it was all real. Entire houses were ripped from the ground like toys. Massive ships were thrown onto streets. Trains vanished. Airports were submerged. People tried escaping in their cars while the water chased them like a living creature. The most terrifying part was the speed. The tsunami never stopped. It destroyed everything in its path without mercy. Schools, hospitals, entire neighborhoods. Entire families disappeared within minutes. Many survivors later described something deeply disturbing. The sound. They said it didn't sound like water. It sounded like a monstrous roar, as if thousands of airplanes were crashing through the city at the same time. In some places, people managed to climb onto rooftops seconds before the water arrived. Others watched helplessly as their homes were swept away while holding loved ones they could not save. And even after the first wave passed, more came. The ocean advanced and retreated repeatedly, carrying bodies, cars, and wreckage for miles. The destruction was so catastrophic that entire towns simply ceased to exist. But something even more dangerous was happening. The tsunami struck the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The water destroyed the cooling systems inside the nuclear reactors. Without cooling, the reactors began overheating rapidly. Soon after, explosions erupted at the plant. The world panicked. There were fears of a nuclear disaster similar to Chernobyl. Thousands of people were forced to abandon their homes because of radiation risks. Even today, some areas around Fukushima are still considered dangerous. Meanwhile, across Japan, rescue teams searched for survivors through freezing temperatures, mud, and mountains of debris. Many bodies were never found. And there's one detail that makes the tragedy even more heartbreaking. Japan was one of the most prepared countries in the world for earthquakes and tsunamis. They had seawalls, warning systems, emergency drills, evacuation routes. Even so, It wasn't enough. The force of nature exceeded every prediction. Some people survived by pure miracle. A little girl was found alive days later beneath the wreckage. Elderly people remained trapped on rooftops waiting for rescue. Entire families spent nights in darkness without food, water, or any news from loved ones. And the impact didn't remain only in Japan. The tsunami crossed the entire Pacific Ocean. Waves reached countries thousands of miles away, including the United States, Chile, and other coastal regions. The damage was unimaginable. Hundreds of billions of dollars in destruction, one of the costliest disasters in human history. But perhaps the most frightening thought is this: everything happened within minutes. An ordinary day. People going to work, children sitting in classrooms, trains running normally, and then the ocean rose. Even today, footage from that tsunami still sends chills down people's spines, because it reveals something humanity can never fully control: the brutal force of nature. And even after so many years, Japan still carries scars from that day that will never truly disappear.